Hi everyone, welcome back to the session today. And today we are covering up the steps of tooth preparation, where we need to remove the caries and we need to get the tooth disease free from the carious lesions that we encounter in the routine dental practice. So we have learned about the G.V. Black's principles of cavity preparation, the tooth preparation, and the important steps. So applying those steps in the clinical situations is also more important, as theoretical aspects needs to be covered in each and every patient, so that maximum maximum cavity preparation that involves the retaining of tooth structure, the sound tooth structure, as well as receiving the restoration that we have planned to do and maintaining the normal function of the tooth. So over here, this is the maxillary molar, and you can see the other molars which are carious. So we are going step by step. So this is the maxillary molar, which we are going to make it a disease free and remove the caries or the carious lesions that we encounter. So beginning with the first step, what we need to understand is, as per the principles of cavity preparation and considering the clinical situations, how we apply those principles in the routine dental practices, that we need to remove all the caries first. Also, we need to get inside the tooth, clearing the enamel that is there, the defective enamel, the demineralized part of the enamel, and getting into the dentine, and maximum that we can get is 0.5 to 0.0 mm into the dentine. So initially what we are using is, this is the small round burr. There are two types of round burr. One is the big ball and this one is the small. So this has a minimal depth, or the maximum depth of, you can say, 1 millimeter. So basically we are just creating the initial punch cuts with this. So we are into the enamel with this round burr. So let us begin the steps. So we have created these initial punch cuts at different parts. So now you can see or visualize it. And with the same burr, we are now getting into the pits and fissures of this molar. So now you can see the depth that we are covering initially with this burr. That is, we are going up to the ball or the depth of this burr and not going beyond it. And we can still see the caries. There are some stains over there, so we can consider them cleaning. But there are caries. That is the most crucial step or the approach that we should be following, that we should be removing all the caries. And now is the time to switch on to a big round burr to form the outline form and the initial depth. So here we have this big round burr, and when we see the depth of this big round burr, it is roughly 1.5 millimeters. So as you can appreciate it, it is 1.5 millimeters. So we can get inside the dentine, covering up the enamel already that we had explored, and we can remove the caries with the help of this burr going deep up to the neck. So now you can appreciate that there are healthy tooth structure or the healthy dentine that we can see, and the caries that is still remaining. So now what we can consider is we can take the straight fissured burr, so we have taken the straight fissured burr now, and we are just removing the caries and describing the external or the outline form, and we have already established the initial depth that we need, and we would not go much deeper until and unless we remove the caries. See, now we are just rounding off the margins, or we can say the cavol surface margins where the restoration would be there. And why this rounding off is important is because we need the resistance form, that is the tooth, the restoration that is integrating with the tooth should not wear off once the occlusal forces are being established. See, we have widened the cavity to remove all the caries that is there, and structure. This is important, that we should not be just having a conservative cavity where just the cavity is narrow. No, we need to caries tooth structure or the caries that is there. So once we have removed all the caries, now is the time to round off the margins. So that there are no sharp angles that are there. So we would round off the same. Just remove the stains if you have. This is the finishing work. So you can just remove the stains if you want to consider removing them. Now coming to the last part, that is creating the flat floor for this cavity that we have designed. So over here we are using the inverted cone. So done with this part. We have the rounded angles over here to have, and there caries that you may find, so you can use the round burr and form the or remove the caries that is left behind once you have formed the cavity. So this is how you can remove the cavity caries that is there with the help of round burr. So this should be your final cavity with the rounded angles that you should be there. There should be no sharp edges. If you find out, you can just finish up things. So this was all about the cavity preparation. Hope the steps were clear to you. Hope you were able to understand the idea of the cavity preparation. Over here I want to highlight one more thing, that since we are preparing the cavity and we need, and what we find is now when this area is more than 1 millimeter, then we need that we need to plan. If this area is less than 1 millimeter, got the idea how we remove, and over here we have, can happen, we are removing the important. So now our planning, since it is more than 1 millimeter exposure, so we shall plan for the pulpotomy treatment of this particular molar. Hope the things were clear to you. Thanks for watching, and we would be back in the next session continuing with the same series of cavity preparations, applying the theoretical aspects in the clinical situations. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.